Coming up next on Cronkite News, the city of Mesa asks residents to help ease the cost of power use.
And later, a new fire growing near Prescott sparks evacuation orders. We'll give you the latest.
On Break It Down, why we are seeing an increase of women of color running for office.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Erin Slindy.
And I'm Peyton Watts. Thank you for joining us. The city of Mesa is asking residents to help save energy due to price concerns. Faith Abercrombie has more tips from their Energy Resources Department on how to reduce your electrical bill and help the city avoid high energy costs.
The City of Mesa Energy Resources Department says they saw an increase in the price of power during June. The price of a kilowatt per hour can fluctuate during the hot summer months. The City of Mesa wants residents to help keep prices down, specifically during the peak hours of the day between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m.
It rose to 70 cents per kilowatt hour. Now it's back down to, say, maybe more like 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So it's still high. It's still going to be a significant impact on our costs and our customers' bills. So that's the reason why we're asking for that conservation.
The department is asking residents to follow some simple suggestions to help conserve energy. Adjusting your thermostat to 78 degrees can decrease cooling bills by up to 20%. The department also recommends turning down your water heater to 120 degrees or its normal setting when at home, and then to its lowest setting when you're out of the house. Other suggestions include using major appliances like the oven, dishwasher, and your clothes washer and dryer after 9 p.m. Clean or replace your air conditioner's filter. Turn on your ceiling fans to cool off. Make sure your windows and doors are closed. Unplug any unused phone chargers or power strips, and turn off any unnecessary lights. All of these actions together will help save energy and lower your electric bills. At the Google touchscreen, I'm Faith Abercrombie.
The drought and heat has caused the tiger fire to grow over the weekend. Over the holiday, officials set to go evacuation orders in the Horse Thief Basin area. The Yavapai County Sheriff's Office is working closely with fire officials to monitor area evacuations. Over 200 crew members are fighting the lightning-caused fire, which has grown to almost 12,000 acres in size. The blaze caused road closures near the I-17. Most of the fuel for the fire has grass that dried due to the drought, and now officials say a high-pressure system could move into the area, reducing moisture even more.
After weeks of wildfires and forest closures, the COCONINO and KAIBAB National Forests reopened this morning. Still, according to U.S. forest officials, fire restrictions are still in place. Certain areas near active forest fires remain closed because of high fire danger. Randy Schaefer with the COCONINO National Forest says they are very excited to open the forest to visitors again, but the forest is still at a high fire danger level, particularly with the persistent drought in the areas. She says the Forest Service encourages everyone to use the forest area responsibly and remain vigilant. The decision to open the forest was just as difficult as the decision to close it. According to Schaefer, she says recent rains and cooler temperatures reduced the fire danger enough to reopen the forest.
When we issued our statement saying the forest was closed, we put the caveat, would say, we will reopen the forest when we receive, our limit is ½ an inch of rain across 3/4 of the forest. And so with all of the weekend rainstorms, we did get that ½ an inch across the 3/4 of the forest, and we were able to lift that closure.
Stage 2 fire restrictions are still in place, which means no smoking, campfires, fireworks, or operating a chainsaw or any tool with an open flame in the forest. Drivers should avoid dragging chains or driving cars over dry vegetation. A violation of these restrictions could result in a $5,000 fine or even prison time.
Tucson officials plan to ignore a new Second Amendment sanctuary law. Those laws bar state and local jurisdictions from enforcing federal gun laws that conflict with state laws. The move puts Tucson, a city that leans more towards Democrats, at odds with the Republican-led state government when it comes to gun sales and use. The action from the Tucson City Council came after Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill in April declaring Arizona a Second Amendment sanctuary. Ducey's bill was in part a response to the election of President Joe Biden, who has talked about enacting tighter firearm regulations.
Progressive groups are moving to block new tax cuts enacted by Governor Ducey in the state legislature. The same groups that pushed for Prop 208 are behind the move. That proposition raised taxes on the wealthy to help pay for schools. The groups filed a pair of voter referendums on Friday and now have 90 days to collect nearly 120,000 signatures necessary to put the propositions on the ballot. If successful, the tax cuts will be on hold until voters weigh in November of next year. The groups are also expected to try to block a measure Ducey hasn't signed yet that creates a new small business tax category. That bill exempts small businesses from the 3.5% surcharge on the wealthy approved by voters last year.
Coming up after the break, coronavirus isn't the only reason to wear a mask. How they can help us against valley fever next.
Still to come, how wild donkeys are changing the landscape of the Nevada-Arizona border and what the government wants to do. Don't go away.
When you support Arizona PBS, you plant a seed. Seeds that provide educational outreach in our community. Seeds that put our digital resources to work. Seeds that foster the trusted news coverage you expect from PBS. And seeds that continue the amazing PBS programs you love. But our garden can't keep growing without your support. Visit our website to see all the ways you can help our garden grow. Plant a seed with Arizona PBS today.
Cronkite News provides students at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism with the opportunity to gain real-world experience in the newsroom. At Cronkite News, our students produce professional content for audiences by taking on all roles, whether they be reporting, anchoring, producing, or studio production. Each department gives students first-hand professional newsroom experience. For more information, visit cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
We have already entered monsoon season here in Arizona, and with monsoons comes dust, dirt, and a lot of bacteria. As the pandemic is starting to slow down, doctors are saying that masks might be a good protection against other diseases, one being valley fever. Reporter Julia Sandor spoke to experts about the signs, symptoms, and precautions you should take to avoid this lung issue.
Valley fever is caused when a certain fungus found in soil is inhaled. The signs and symptoms are usually mild, but if infected, you may have a fever, cough, and fatigue. To test for the illness, professionals look for the development of antibodies that fight the infection, not the pathogen directly.
Valley fever is something we test primarily as a blood test, so we're looking for the presence of antibodies that are directed towards the fungi, which is called Coccidioides immitis.
The fungus grows in alkaline soil, which is very common in the Arizona desert. Dr. David Hatfield, Chief Medical Officer at Hatfield Medical Group, explains who is most at risk for valley fever and how they may be able to prevent it.
There are certain populations of people that the risk is a little higher. So think people that live in the Southwest, particularly Arizona. Think people that have had organ transplant, that have taken steroids for a long period of time, and folks with diabetes. Usually it affects adults older than the age of 60. But it can affect all populations. Wearing a mask, particularly an N95 mask, can also be a good way to prevent valley fever.
The disease cannot spread from person to person, and it is helpful to see a doctor to get tested and receive treatment.
If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms that don't seem to resolve over time, it's either really beneficial to have that conversation with your provider to say, hey, have you thought about Coxie? Should we order that as a physician order test?
And if you don't have access to a primary doctor, you can order tests online to evaluate yourself. In Phoenix, Julia Sandor, Cronkite News.
Any healthcare provider can test for valley fever, and depending on the type of test, results can be available in a few days or in a couple of weeks.
And with some storm surges activity over the weekend, temperatures may be heating up a little bit. Let's head to Isabella Fredrickson in the Weather Center to see what we can expect for the week.
This week, we are looking at some very high temperatures. To start off, taking a glance at the high temperatures for the region, warm temps all around. Las Vegas is going to be 113 degrees, and over in the West Coast, Bakersfield is going to be at 101 degrees. Closer to the water, though, we will see a cool down. San Francisco is only 67 degrees. Taking a look at the east side of the region, we also are going to see some cooler temps, such as in El Paso, it's only 88 degrees. Moving on to the high temperatures of the state of Arizona tomorrow, again, very high temperatures. On the west side, pretty much all the spots are going to be 110 plus and up to 117 degrees in Bullhead City. Again, though, on the east side of the state, it's going to be slightly cooler. Douglas is only at 89 degrees. But looking at Sedona, 101. The coolest for tomorrow is going to be up in Flagstaff at 88 degrees. Moving on to our evening planner, it is going to stay in the triple digits, and by 10 p.m. it will be 101 degrees. Finally, moving on to our 8-day forecast. Again, it will stay in the triple digits. And as we go into the rest of the week, we are going to see a chance of some stormy weather and some clouds. By Wednesday, that's going to be up to 20%. Either way, this week is warm, 111 degrees on Sunday, so stay hydrated and keep applying that sunscreen. Isabella Fredrickson in the Weather Center.
The U.S. Bureau of Land Management is proposing rounding up more than 500 wild donkeys in the desert north of Lake Mead. The agency says feral donkeys strip land of vegetation, and the donkeys could die off if the population isn't managed. They say they want to gather most of them along the Arizona-Nevada state line and offer them up for adoption. The Las Vegas Sun reports the government also plans to temporarily sterilize other donkeys and round them out throughout the decade. No date is set, but the roundup could happen this fall if the drought continues.
I'm Emily Carmen. Coming up after the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. The Suns have reached the NBA Finals for just the third time in team history. We'll take you through the franchise's playoff history and talk about just how long it has been since they made it this far. Don't go away.
I had swore I was not going to watch the Vietnam War because I could remember the day I watched us finally get the helicopters out thinking, okay, it's over, and then went to my college class. Next thing I know, I'm watching Ken Burns' Vietnam. And the thing that caught me so much was how he was talking to the winners, and this North Vietnam general said, there's no winners in war. That just stopped me dead in my tracks.
For more information about including Arizona PBS in your future plans, visit azpbs.org/giving.
Cronkite News is more than your local news station. Through our innovative ideas, we create new ways to connect with our viewers and have their stories be heard. Our cutting-edge technology allows us to take a deeper dive into seeking the truth and delivering new perspectives. Stay up to date on top Arizona stories anytime on TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook at Cronkite News.
Hey, I'm Rick Steves. You know, I don't go anywhere without my passport. And now, thanks to PBS Passport, you can travel with me and watch all 10 seasons of Rick Steves Europe and all my travel specials. This exclusive streaming service is just for our members. Not only can you see all my shows, but you can see thousands of hours of your favorite public television shows. Become a member today and get your passport.
Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm Emily Carmen. This is your Cronkite Sports Report. The Suns are in the NBA Finals for just the third time in franchise history. Game 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks is tonight at Phoenix Suns Arena. Suns fans have waited a long time for this moment, so long, in fact, we thought we'd give you an idea of just how long this drought has been. The Suns reached the NBA Finals for the first time in 1976, just 8 years after the franchise was formed. 1976 was also the same year Rocky made it big at the box office. Maybe the Suns can channel Rocky this time to claim the title. The Suns didn't reach the NBA Finals again until 1993, but that's not for trying. The Suns made it to the playoffs in 13 consecutive seasons between 1988 and 2001. You know what else was good for 13 seasons? King of the Hill, a classic. And when the Suns made it to the finals again in 1993, Jurassic Park was playing in theaters, and Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You was top of the charts. Now the Suns will hope to reign supreme for the first time in team history.
Being in a position to have an opportunity to win a championship is one of the coolest things that you could ever experience. And now we want to do everything we can to finish it, to go after this thing with everything we got.
That 1993 team featured Kevin Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Dan Marley, with Paul Westphal as head coach. They, of course, lost to Michael Jordan's Bulls. For the past 11 years, the Suns have not even made it to the playoffs. But with Monty Williams at the helm and All-Stars Devin Booker and Chris Paul, the Suns are just 4 wins away from bringing the Larry O'Brien Trophy to the Valley.
Walking into here, seeing Mr. Larry on every poster, it gave me goosebumps.
And one more bit of perspective, DeAndre Ayton wasn't even born yet the last time the Suns made the NBA Finals in 1993. The Suns' big man was born in 1998. Game 1 tips off tonight at 6. More exciting sports news in the Valley. Over the weekend, the Arizona Diamondbacks' third baseman Eduardo Escobar was named to the 2021 MLB All-Star Game roster. This is the first time in his career that Escobar has been selected. Through his 81 games this season, Escobar has hit 18 home runs, complemented by his 54 RBIs. He will be the Diamondbacks' only representative for the game, and he is the first Diamondbacks player to make the All-Star game since Cattle Martell and Zach Greinke in 2019. Sticking with baseball, the University of Arizona announced Chip Hale as the new head coach for its baseball program. Hale will succeed former head coach Jay Johnson, who left Arizona after 6 seasons to become the coach at LSU. Chip Hale played at the university from 1984 through 1987 under coach Jerry Kindle. Hale is the university's all-time stat leader in 5 different categories, including games played, hits, and walks drawn, among others. He was also a player on the 1986 team that won the College World Series. And that's it for your Cronkite Sports Report.